everyone. Welcome back to Sunday Reads with Renee. My name is Renee here at Simply Renee, and I want to thank everyone who has come to my channel so far to subscribe. I truly appreciate it as it helps me to grow. But I also want to thank everyone who has liked, shared, commented, and watched my videos. I truly appreciate it, and I like hearing from everybody so I can get an idea of what you like, dislike, and ways I can improve as well. And I truly appreciate you coming here to just enjoy the discussions and hear what I have to say. But I also love hearing what you have to say as well. So I truly do appreciate it. Today for Sunday Reads with Renee, I'm going to be doing a double book review of two books that I really enjoyed, which is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson and An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. And these are two books I really like. I think they're both well written and I enjoyed them, but be forewarned, they do have a lot of heavy topics to it, and therefore there is some of that within the novels, though it's a little bit of a triggering one. And before I begin, I also am going to be revealing some plot points, so therefore spoilers are ahead. Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson is a 2022 novel that tells the story of Benny and Byron, two siblings that have been estranged for many years as a result of a falling out, and how they're going to grapple with it now as adults because both of their parents are deceased. The novel starts off with Benny and Byron arriving at the office of an attorney that their mother arranged so she could have her will and last wishes said. And there's a lot of tension between these siblings who've just lost their mother, but they can't really come together to reconcile or have a conversation about it. And so they just listen to what the lawyer has to say. According to the lawyer, their mother left behind a black cake in the freezer for them to enjoy. It's always a dessert that she made consistently throughout their childhood and her own life. But she also left behind audio tape recordings she wants her children to listen to, which reveal her life story. What the siblings aren't prepared for is what's revealed in these recordings, which is the fact that Eleanor is not their mother's actual real name. It's Covery, and she fled the Caribbean in the 1960s as a teenager. And so it goes back and forth between the past and present throughout the book as Eleanor tells her story from her perspective. As a teenager in the Caribbean in the 1960s, she was living a relatively okay life. Her mother had abandoned her and her father was a gambling addict, but she ended up taking solace in so many other things. Her real name is Covey. She had a best friend. She enjoyed surfing. And she also found true love with a man named Gibbs, who was going to England to get an education and hopefully live a good life. And the two had arranged to meet a year from then when he left because they wanted to get married and start a life together. But things changed because now Kobe's father, a gambling addict, has gambled so many losses away. He has a debt to pay to a man named Little Man, who is a gangster and a violent man known very well in the Caribbean island where she resides. And in order to pay off these gambling debts, Eleanor's father arranges a marriage between Little Man and his daughter Covey. And Covey does not want to marry this man at all. And so she finds a way to escape the Caribbean island to go to England and live a new life, being reunited with her true love Gibbs if she can find him. And there's so much other things that get revealed in these recordings that I won't reveal here in this review because I want to remain spoiler free. But there's a lot of things that are revealed to these siblings that end up really hitting them pretty hard and make them question, do they know their mother at all? Do they know their parents at all? Who are we entirely? So it goes back and forth between the past and the present with Eleanor's side of things, but it also goes back and forth between the past and the present between Benny and Byron and their perspectives. Byron has managed to have huge success academically and professionally, whereas Benny has chosen to live a more creative, passionate life of the things she loves, like cooking and artistry, which didn't fit well with her more traditional parents who left the Caribbean, England, to America to live the American dream. And so a lot of things are revealed throughout this entire novel, including the fact that Eleanor was SA'd, resulting in a pregnancy that she was forced to give up and now has a lot of regrets about not being able to find the child she gave up and reunite with them. And now they can't because she's passed away. And so now it's left up to Benny and Byron to find this child and try to create reunification and reconciliation between everybody. I overall liked this book. I thought it was well written. I liked how it flashed back and forth between the past and the present. I admired Eleanor's strength, but also the devastation she deals with and the trauma and the tragedies she experiences. But I also like the fact that all the characters go on this personal growth journey, especially Benny and Byron, and how they grapple with everything that their mother is telling them through their recordings, but also how it affects them and where they go from here, even though they're middle-aged adults and still have a little bit more growth to do in their own lives. What I didn't really like too much in this book was the perspectives of three minor characters, because I understand why Wilkerson adds them, and I think they give a little extra layer to the novel, but I also felt that they could have been done without entirely. Other than that, I think this book was very well written. I highly recommend it, and I think Wilkerson does well to really focus on Caribbean life, England life, the history of England in the 1960s, especially where Caribbean immigrants are coming into the country more, and the ideas of racism and how people grapple with that, and how Eleanor herself grapples with that as well, because she's an immigrant from the Caribbean, a Black woman, and she's grappling with all the racism that's in England, but also in America as well. So I thought those were good histories to add into the novel of Black Kate that gave it that extra layer that was needed and fit well within the historical fiction realm of this novel as she details her life. So overall, I do recommend Black Cake. I think it's excellent. And if you are interested in seeing it on screen, Hulu did a miniseries a couple of years ago that is very well acted as well. So I do recommend Black Cake. An American Marriage by Tayari Jones was published in 2018. It ranks among the top 20 novels of all time for me because it's such a well written work, as Joan explores the complexities between a modern day American marriage that's imploding as a result of a wrongful conviction from a false accusation. Roy and Celestial are in their first year of marriage and they already have a little tension between them, but when they arrive in Louisiana to visit Roy's parents, their entire marriage begins to implode a little bit. The reason it implodes is because they're having a fight at their hotel room after Roy discovers that the biological father he has is not actually his father, and thus they're having arguments about that, as well as the other things that are within their marriage that have caused some tension for a time. As a result of this argument, they decide to have a 15-minute cooling off period to just try and get themselves together. But it's in these 15 minutes that everything changes completely between them. During those 15 minutes, Roy's outside the hotel room where he comes across an elderly woman who's injured. And this woman needs some help in her room, and Roy, wanting to be a good person and Samaritan, helps her out. It's a simple act of kindness that unfortunately changes everything for them the next day when Roy is arrested because this woman he helped the night before has falsely accused him of SA. And even though it's a false accusation, Roy is still convicted for and sentenced to 12 years in prison. It's a wrongful conviction from a false accusation, but nonetheless, he's convicted, he's sentenced, and it implodes the entire marriage between him and Celestial. During the first few years, Celestial and Roy end up doing a lot of regular correspondence back and forth. She visits him regularly from their home in Atlanta, Georgia. At the same time, personal journeys happen between them. Celestial starts her doll making business and it becomes a huge success, whereas Roy is trying to survive prison and in this prison ends up meeting a man who turns out to be his biological father, thus starting a relationship with him. And even though they're having this back and forth correspondence and regular visits, they start to become less frequent over the years. And that's because Celestial is living her life very differently and she's starting to see another man, whereas Roy is trying to figure out where his life is going to go if he can get his conviction overturned. And everything goes back and forth between past and present, revealing a lot of the trauma these two went through before they met, during the time they met, in their marriage, but also what they're going through traumatically as a result of this wrongful conviction from a false accusation. The book itself is a very great, well written work. I truly enjoyed it because it really goes through everything from what happens in a marriage, where everything just implodes as a result of this wrongful conviction and false accusation. It's a personal journey between these two and separately, but it also comes with a lot of heartbreak and trauma along the way. Just what happens when everything changes within a marriage and if love can truly conquer all. And sometimes it can't. and sometimes it does, but that's up to what you find when you read this book, because I really want you to read it. I think it's a well-written book. I think it flows well. I really like how Jones deals with the complexities of a marriage that falls apart as a result of this wrongful conviction from a false accusation, but it also deals with real life issues as well, where both Roy and Celestial have dealt with racism, the struggles to succeed, and also with the fact that the criminal justice system is extremely flawed. What happens to Roy is terrible. He's falsely accused, he's wrongly convicted, and that's what really angered me about in this book, is that he was falsely accused and wrongly convicted, and there was no justice for him completely, or even for the woman who's accused him of this essay, because even Celestial believes that this woman was essayed, but she knows for a fact that it wasn't her husband at all. So that was the part that really angered me, because it makes me wonder what would have happened if that never occurred. Would Roy and Celestial had worked things out? Would things have changed between them? It will never know, because there is a wrongful conviction that took place and everything just imploded. But I'll leave it up to you if you've read this book, and you can tell me your own thoughts there, because I think this is something to truly dissect, and I'll take an idea for a video, but I do recommend it because I think it's such a great work. Now tell me what you think. Have you read either of these novels? If so, what did you think of them? Do you like one or the other, or both? Do you think things could have been written differently? Do you agree with me? Not agree with me? Please let me know in the comments. As always, I welcome all discussions. I thank you so much for tuning in to another Sunday Reads with Renee. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, and click the notification bell. I'll be back next week with another Sunday Reads with Renee, and I'll be back on Wednesday with another random video here at Simply Renee. I thank you again so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.